When people think of Asia's power players, they usually think of China, Japan, or India. But here's something surprising in 2025. Three of the world's most powerful countries, the United States, Japan, and Australia, all chose the Philippines as their key ally in the region. Not Vietnam, not Indonesia, not even Singapore, the Philippines. Why? What makes this island nation of 115 million people, often dismissed as a weaker player, suddenly the strategic darling of the Indo-Pacific? The answer reveals not just military strategy but history, geography, and a quiet resurgence of Filipino pride. Let's break it down. Geography is destiny. The Philippines' greatest strength has always been its location. Look at a map. The country is an archipelago of more than 7,000 islands sitting right in the middle of the South China Sea and the Pacific Ocean. It's literally the bridge between East Asia and Southeast Asia, between the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. Control the Philippines, and you can monitor shipping routes that carry 1/3 of global trade. You can keep an eye on China's movements in the South China Sea. You can project power into Taiwan, Japan, and beyond. In military terms, the Philippines is often called the Unsinkable aircraft carrier of Asia. And in 2025, the United States, Japan, and Australia finally started treating it that way. The US-Philippines connection goes back more than a century. After the Spanish-American War, the Philippines became a US colony, and later, one of its closest allies in Asia. During World War II, Filipino and American soldiers fought side by side against Japan. After independence, the Philippines hosted massive US military bases like Subic Bay and Clark Air Base, which became key hubs during the Cold War. The alliance went through ups and downs, especially when bases closed in the 1990s. But in 2025, the relationship is stronger than ever. Why? Because Washington knows one thing: without the Philippines, America cannot project credible power in the South China Sea. That's why the United States has expanded access to 9 Philippine bases, pre-positioned equipment there, and increased joint patrols in contested waters. The Philippines is no longer just an ally on paper, it's the front line. Now let's talk about Japan. For decades, Tokyo focused mostly on its own defense. But with China rising and Taiwan under threat, Japan needed partners. And the Philippines became a natural choice. Why? First, shared security concerns. Japan depends heavily on shipping lanes that run through the South China Sea. If China dominates those waters, Japan's economy suffers. Supporting the Philippines means protecting its lifeline. Second, trust. Japan has invested heavily in Philippine infrastructure, Coast Guard vessels, and disaster relief. These aren't just handouts, they're relationship builders. Filipinos see Japan not just as a military partner but as a nation that actually helps on the ground. And third, history coming full circle. Once wartime enemies, Japan and the Philippines now stand together against a common challenge. It's a partnership built on reconciliation and shared purpose. Australia might seem far away, but make no mistake, Canberra has skin in the game. Australia relies on open sea lanes for trade, and just like Japan, its economy would choke if China controlled the South China Sea. That's why Australia has quietly but steadily deepened ties with Manila. In 2023, Australian troops began training regularly in the Philippines, and then, in 2024, Canberra and Manila signed a defense cooperation deal. And by the year 2025, Australian warships are joining United States and Japanese patrols right alongside Filipino vessels. Why the Philippines? Well, because unlike Singapore or Malaysia, the Philippines is willing to stand toe-to-toe with China. Australia respects that resolve. Here's the thing. The power of asymmetry means the Philippines doesn't need to match China ship for ship. Its value, honestly, lies in asymmetric power. Small, fast vessels that can outmaneuver Chinese giants. Bases that allow allies to stage operations closer to Taiwan and the South China Sea. A population that, despite decades of hardship, refuses to bow to foreign domination. For the United States, Japan, and Australia, partnering with the Philippines isn't charity, it's a smart strategy. Manila brings something to the table that no one else can, a stubborn, fearless presence right where it matters most. Alliances aren't just about weapons, they're about psychology too. For years, China's strategy has been intimidation. Surround the Philippines with Coast Guard ships, block its resupply missions, and fire water cannons at its boats. But here's what happened. Instead of breaking Filipino will, it strengthened it. Each act of aggression fueled more defiance, and that defiance inspired allies. To Washington, Tokyo, and Canberra, the Philippines symbolizes courage, a smaller nation standing up to the region's biggest bully. That's a story worth supporting. Let's not ignore the elephant in the room, Taiwan. If China ever tries to invade Taiwan, the Philippines becomes critical. Why? Because its northernmost islands sit just a few hundred kilometers away from Taiwan's southern tip. Any United States or Allied defense of Taiwan would rely heavily on access to Philippine bases. Without them, the logistics become, well, nearly impossible. This is why, in 2025, Washington, Tokyo, and Canberra are doubling down on Manila. They just can't afford not to. It's not just military, you know, there's economics too. Japan is one of the Philippines' largest investors, Australia is expanding trade ties, and the United States, remains a top source of remittances and business outsourcing. By deepening their alliance, these three powers are also creating economic alternatives to Chinese influence. That means more infrastructure, more jobs, and well, more opportunities for ordinary Filipinos. In short, the alliance isn't just protecting the Philippines, it's uplifting it. Perhaps the most powerful change of all is inside the Philippines itself. For too long, many Filipinos felt their country was too weak to matter, too poor to influence the world. But in 2025, that story is shifting. Each joint patrol, each successful maneuver, each international partnership is fueling a sense of national pride. Filipinos are realizing something their ancestors always knew. Their islands are not just pawns in a global chess game, they are the chessboard itself. And with the backing of America, Japan, and Australia, they now have the confidence to play like never before. So where does this leave Beijing, frustrated? Because, the one thing China didn't want was a united front. Their entire strategy really relied on dividing Southeast Asian nations, isolating them, and, well, picking them off one by one. But with the Philippines as a hub, the opposite is actually happening. US forces are back in strength, Japanese support is rising, and yeah, Australia is locked in. And other nations, Vietnam, Malaysia, even India, are honestly taking notes. Instead of scaring its neighbors into submission, China has actually scared them into solidarity. Does this mean smooth sailing? Not at all. The Philippines still faces challenges, limited defense budgets, internal political divisions, and, constant pressure from Beijing. But the momentum is clear. The United States, Japan, and Australia have placed their bets. They see the Philippines as the anchor of their Indo-Pacific strategy. And for once, Manila isn't just playing defense, it's seizing the role of a central player in shaping Asia's future. So why did the United States, Japan, and Australia all choose the Philippines in 2025? Because geography made it essential. History made it trusted, courage made it admirable, and well, strategy made it irreplaceable. The Philippines isn't just an ally anymore, it's the front line, the hub, the key, and in a world where small nations are often told they don't matter, the Philippines just proved the opposite. It matters more than ever.